Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Muhammad HAFIZ bin OMAR. Today, my friends and I will be presenting to you guys the topic what we call air transport service. So, air transport service can be divided into three, which are full service. The second one is the low-cost carrier, and the third one is the hybrid. So, our group comprises of 5 members, which is me, Hafiz Omar. The second one is AFIF AZIZI, Luqman, Lutfi, NAQIB ZAINAL ABIDIN, and the last one will be ZHARIF, ZAKARIA. So let me present to you guys regarding the full service airline. So for the introduction, let me introduce to you guys the airlines that categorize into the full service. They are like Turkish Airlines, Emirates Airlines, Malaysia Airlines, Singapore Airlines, Qatar Airways. So under this section, there will be stepping down into several dimensions of use in which like the characteristic, opportunity and challenges faced by the full service airlines transport. So these are the logos that I mentioned before, which are Malaysia Airlines, American Airlines, Qatar Airways. Now we come to the characteristic. What we can know about the full service airlines, especially in the roads and flight, they have the long haul routes to domestic and international destinations across the globe, in contrast to low-cost airlines, which typically only utilize on one or two types of aircraft, primarily operate on domestic short to medium haul routes. For the fees and costs, obviously, full service airline has higher fees and costs. Although full service airline typically charge more for tickets, rising competition from lower cost carrier has forced full service major airlines to dramatically drop their pricing. So now for the cabin amenities, we can see the full service airlines typically have fewer seats, overall 2 or 3 service classes, and larger seats with more generous legroom. So it's emphasizing the quality of comfort than the quantity instead. Now we're stepping down into the opportunity. The first opportunity is that full service airline could grant the widest global network connectivity. How and why? Thanks to the IATA. Because an airline or agency in one region of the world now is able to price and sell an airline ticket to a traveler with a lengthy or complicated route in another region of the world. Here it uses the term network connectedness to refer to this basic feature of FSAs. A lot of airlines have alliance agreements in place today, enabling them to offer an even higher level of connectivity. The second opportunity that we can see right now is the last minute seat access and high frequency flight. As we can know, full service airlines often provide a level of capacity and control access to that capacity to ensure that passengers with erratic travel demand have a high level of last minute access to seats. The third opportunity that FSA could have is that the high legacy costs could grant the best trustworthiness and productivity, because this day a newly established air carrier may frequently discover that it can hire qualified pilots and other labor for less money and a better benefit plan than the legacy. It is because they haven't had to negotiate for sharing previous productivity gains. Now we come to the challenges parts. First challenge is FSA financial viability requires re-establishing traffic density. Why? When facing competition from an LCC offering one-way prices, and FSA must lower its expenses to make up for reduced yields because the loss of its former level of price discrimination provides a minimal chance of boosting revenue in the medium to long term. The second challenge is that the loss of air traffic density could reverse up the unit cost curve. Under the cases where an FSA aims to save expenses by streamlining in-flight and on-ground levels of service, a loss of some business to LCC causes the FSA to move backwards up its unit cost slope as it declines traffic volume on a route. The third challenge is that what makes it more harder, even simply declining the labor cost will not cope the challenges faced by today FSA. It is because it takes more than just cutting labor costs to reduce costs. these expenses typically only account for 25% to 40% of the cost base of either a network air carrier. Even a 50% decrease in labor costs, either through lower salaries or more productivity, will only result in a 4 until 6% decrease in overall unit costs. The financial benefits of LCC come from a much wider source. To be better equipped to compete with an LCC and rebalance its costs with the lower yields the LCC drive into the market, and FSA must go beyond simply obtaining reduced labor costs from its workforce. Additionally, crucial FSA service components are intrinsically expensive and cannot be removed without fundamentally compromising the FSA product and service. Is quite challenging. So I think that's all from me. Now I pass to another member. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is AFIF bin AZIZI. Today I will talk about the full service airline. In this topic has contained three sectors, which is the characteristic of the full service airline, opportunity and the challenges of full service airline. Initially, we will start with the characteristic of full service airline. Focus more to larger airport. While it is not a hard and fast rule, low-cost carrier generally avoid larger expensive airport in favor of smaller, less expensive airports situated further away from the cities they serve. Southwest Airline, for example, prefer the field in Dallas over the gleaming Dallas Fort Worth International Airport. The star operator Airline Airport, which is otherwise deserted, just outside Melbourne. Ryanair uses the lesser known Beauvais Airport 80 km from Paris instead of the city's Carles de Gaulle Airport. Low-cost airlines like to fly out of the secondary airports. At this airport, landing and ground fees cost less than the top city airports airline alliances. Number 2. Cabin amenities. Most full-service airlines offer 2 or 3 service classes and fewer total seats per aircraft. Seat size and available seat pitch are often more. For example, has 124 seats on an Airbus A319 aircraft, whereas Frontier, a low carrier, has 136 seats on a similar A319 aircraft. Full-service airlines typically provide more in-flight perks such as a longer selection of food and beverages, in-flight entertainment options, and amenities such as headphones, pillows, and blankets. However, some full-service airlines are recently reduced or eliminated some or all these perks or have begun charging for them. Next, we will jump to opportunity of full-service airlines. Number 1, route and flight. While low-cost airlines typically use only 1 or 2 types of aircraft and mostly fly domestic short to medium haul routes, full-service airlines are used regional partners to serve smaller destinations as well as larger wide-body aircraft on long-haul routes to domestic and international destinations all over the world. Secondly, operation of the service. Instead of servicing regional airports with reduced cost and accessibility, full-service airlines mostly fly to large principal airports in major cities. Full-service airlines have one or more significant hubs via which the majority of their flights are routes in order to provide customers with connecting options. Full-service airlines are also more likely to establish interline agreements, employ codeshares, and belong to significant alliances. The last point of the opportunity of full-service airline is high service value. Full-service airlines provide a high-quality service or high-value product. In the context, high value indicates that the full-service airline product include additional quantities such as good network connectivity and last-minute seat availability. For example, the number of customers, but not all customers, want and are ready to pay for. In this case, value refer to the consumer's perception of value. Next, we will talk about the challenges of full-service airlines. Number 1, different strategic focus. Full-service airlines such as American Airlines and Lufthansa priorities network profitability, whereas low-cost airlines priorities profitability. Even during the early months of the epidemic, American Airlines continued to fly to 95 domestic and foreign destinations in 55 countries. Dallas, Fort Worth, Charlotte, Los Angeles, and Chicago are among Americans' hubs. They will frequently let a low-profit route continue if it funnels passengers via a hub, and on a high-profit route that helps support low-profit routes. The next challenges facing by full-service airline is the inability to sustain the previous full-service airline price discrimination scheme led to the introduction of a new pricing schemes. The difficulty of an full-service airline to continue charging high cost to passengers with a strong willingness to pay diminishes revenues unless it can reduce costs enough to compensate for the drop in yield. In many parts of the world, the full-service airlines have clearly demonstrated that they are unable to decrease expenses to the level of the low-cost flight, at least in a timely manner. Smaller network carriers in regional markets such as Canadian, Swiss Air, Sabana, and Ansett have been particularly vulnerable to low-cost carrier entrants and have all abandoned their regions. Last but not least, the challenge of full-service airlines is extension to the broader set of routes. This new pricing plan implemented by and full-service airlines in response to low-cost carrier entrants is often applied to a wide variety of routes. Not only those with direct low-cost carrier competition, this response is due in part to the danger or high possibility of low-cost carrier entrance into additional routes on all routes. Customers can and do substitute demonstration according to airlines, either or full-service airline or low-cost airlines. This is supposed by research from the United States, which show that the sheer existence of low-cost carrier Southwest Airline at the airport confirm this.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Luqman bin Ahmad Lutfi from Group 3 6BMA2. So now I would like to present about the low-cost carrier in air transport service. A low-cost carrier or low-cost airline, also known as LCC, is an airline that operates with a focus on decreasing operational expenses and without some of the typical services and facilities given in the ticket, resulting in cheaper fares and less comfort. To compensate for incoming loss due to lower ticket pricing, the airline may collect additional costs such as for carry-on luggage. So the first topic that will be discussed regarding the low-cost carrier in air transport service is their characteristic. The first characteristic of low-cost carrier in air transport service is low fares. As the name implies, the most crucial characteristic of a low-cost airline is that it provides a less expensive mode of transportation. As a result, budget airlines strive to obtain a greater part of the market on a certain route by providing the lowest tickets through the corridor. This often results in eye-catching cheap pricing, with aircraft sometimes able to beat train tickets on certain routes. For example, Ryanair, the Irish low-cost airline, renowned for providing basic price as low as $14.13. Next characteristic of low-cost carrier in air transport service is more point-to-point networks. Another characteristic that distinguishes many low-cost carriers is the fact that their networks are often organized in a point-to-point networks. Because of this, they are able to build a more physical presence in the form of additional bases and directly link more cities that are parts of the network. For example, passengers traveling from Manchester to Gothenburg on Ryanair may do so without changing planes, but those flying on British Airways, which is full-service airline, must make a connection at London Heathrow in order to complete the same route. Furthermore, additional fees can also be categorized as the characteristic of low-cost carrier in air transport service. As nice as the low fares are, we should be careful to check what we are getting for our money. After all, one way that low-cost carriers can accommodate such low basic fares is by implementing additional charges for certain service features. For instance, although Ryanair's so-called value fare is typically lovely and affordable, it only provides travelers with the absolute minimum in terms of hand baggage, one tiny carry-on bag, and a space on the aircraft. Anything else will result in additional fees being assessed. These include perks such as a second carry-on bag, checked baggage, seat selection, priority boarding, and flexible booking options. The second topic that will be discussed regarding the low-cost carrier in air transport service is their opportunity. The first one is promoting travel. When people can travel for less money, they will do it more often because they can afford the airfare. They visit places that they otherwise may not have had the opportunity to see. This indicates that there are now more individuals than ever before who can travel the globe. Before the advent of low-cost airline, flying by aircraft was reserved for individuals of means. Now, however, more and more people have access to this travel option. Travel packages that are offered by low-cost airline often encourage customers to visit certain locations and may include the cost of post-flight and hotel accommodation in the total price. Next is the total passenger growth. Low-cost carriers have seized the opportunity to offer innovative air services that have spawned new passengers demand, the so-called Southwest effect. As domestic aviation markets have been gradually deregulated in many countries, and as market-oriented air services agreements have been increasingly become the new international norm, low-cost carriers have seized the opportunity to offer innovative air services. This effect has been attributed to Southwest Airlines. For example, in 2015, the low-cost carrier market share accounted for 23% in the Asia region. The last topic that will be discussed regarding the low-cost carrier in the air transport service is their challenges that they need to face. The first challenge is by the government charges and taxes. In spite of the undeniably enormous social and economic advantages brought forth by the aviation sector, whether it can be low cost or full service, governments have traditionally failed in supporting development. In the worst of these circumstances, this manifests itself as opportunistic demands of wealth from the cash cow. In other cases, it simply takes the shape of inadequate financing for infrastructure or unproductive nationalism in airspace. Airports, too, have been target of criticism in several instances, particularly from low-margin, low-cost carriers. According to Michael Cowley, the huge taxation in the United Kingdom and Ireland accounts for 25 until 30% of cost. The effect of taxes and excessive charges typically has a higher influence on the pricing structure of Ryanair's cheaper rate than it does on other airlines. Secondly, fuel price is also one of the challenges that need to be faced by the low-cost carrier in air transport service. Following a grueling year in which fuel costs rose much above expectations, a number of low-cost carriers are now willing to admit openly that they had been wondering their future. As a result, it is not surprising that fuel is high on the list of hazards to the individual airlines. Moreover, despite warning, There is no guarantee that continuing weak economic circumstances would keep gasoline costs from increasing. The American Trade Association, for example, has been outspoken in its notion that prices are inflated by money market speculation rather than fundamentals, a viewpoint that has many sympathizers. Lastly, the challenges that need to be faced by the low-cost carrier is not meeting the passengers' expectation. Because while flying on a budget, we may be required to sacrifice the use of some luxuries that are standard on other carriers such as Malaysia Airlines and Qatar Airways. AirAsia, a low-cost airline based in Malaysia, does not include television in the back of its seats. Additionally, the cost of our ticket does not often include the provision of in-flight meals with these carriers. To purchase any form of food while on board a flight, passengers are required to pay an additional fees. So that's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad NAQIB bin ZAINAL ABIDIN. Today I would like to present about low-cost carrier. In this presentation, I would like to elaborate about 3 points, which is characteristic, opportunities and challenges. The characteristic of low-cost carrier is firstly is low fare. Low fare but luggage is not given as well as the food and amenities. They are able to offer cheaper fare rates at the expense of fewer comfort. If air travel were much less expensive, then an increased number of individuals would engage in this flight. The price difference between low-cost carrier and full-service airline must be as 40 until 60% cheaper. After that is additional fees. There will be extra charge for amenities such as seat reservation and onboard food. To avoid additional charge, seat will be given randomly. Although low-cost carrier offer all sorts of information and prices via GDS, many of them charge extra costs for reservation made through travel agency or GDS. After that is a point-to-point network. Build a more tangible presence in the form of additional base and directly link more cities that are part of their network. Provide the highest bandwidth of any interconnect system. After that is straightforward connection method. Lastly is result is with low latency. After that, of characteristic is no in-flight entertainment. This is because it's very costly. Some low-cost carrier like as Jetstar and Norway Air provide a personal television with restricted access such as a flight map, some lazy program, radio and USB plug. After that is low-cost carrier opportunities. Firstly is extending sector length. Aviation market deregulate in many countries and market-oriented service agreement become the new international standard. Ryanair, Easily and other European low-cost carriers capitalize on the European Union creation of a common aviation region to acquire 41% of seat capacity on scheduled trip in Europe. Asia low-cost carrier share in 2050 was 23%. After that is saw in COVID-19 pandemic. Low-cost carrier industry will be more active than ever before. During the epidemic, only person who had legitimate necessities would still travel, and even then with a lesser budget than before the pandemic. A decrease in the overall worth of the expenditure that are spent by a firm when it organized and financed business trip for its personnel. After that is low-cost carrier challenges. Firstly is competitive. More competitors such as Asia, Southwest Airline and Ryanair. After that, its need to compete with full service carrier on service by delivering with low price, and need to compete with low cost carrier on service factor. Some traditional airlines have lowered the price of all economy class tickets, while others have changed how they set their price. After that is COVID-19 environment. Because of COVID-19, the airline decrease of almost 75% in the number of commercial flights all across the world. Passenger airline in the US cut their flight schedule by 74% inside the country and by 93% outside the country. Average of passenger on a domestic trip has dropped from 85 to 100 to only 10. Another factor is fuel price. Low-cost carrier can withstand a soft revenue environment and how fuel cost better than the robust revenue environment and high fuel price. Low-cost carrier more vulnerable to input price rise since fuel is a larger component of the expenditure. After that is fee and taxes. The effect of tax and excessive charge have typically higher influence on the lower pricing structure of Ryanair. Fuel is still controlled by state, which means that any profit made by the monopoly seller is already treated as a de facto tax. The central government imposed a custom duty of 10% and excise duty of 8% because this is a tax on a gross retail price. It already constitutes a tax on a tax not to be outdone. That's all. Thank you.
Hybrid air transport services. An airline that uses a low-cost business model while maintaining service levels that are comparable to those of traditional and legacy carriers is referred to as a hybrid airline. Hybrid airline prioritize excellent customer service while maintaining affordable rates by offering a variety of amenities and tier price cabin classes. So, the Malindo Air is one of the hybrid air transport services. What is Malindo Air? Malindo Air is a Malaysian multinational low-cost airline with its headquarters not far from Kuala Lumpur, which is Petaling Jaya. Malindo Air also an AirAsia subsidiary company. So, Malindo Air is a hybrid full-service airline. So, the challenges for the Malindo, as we know, fewer airlines continue to operate solely on a budget, using a point-to-point routes and online seat sale. More hybrid modalities company merged in the market today, offering low cost as well as a network and connecting flight. Fixed quota are being established with our tour operators, and code sharing is being implemented with partners. So the challenges for Malindo Air, we got 3 points. So the first point is services additional, which is additional services, same thing. So what can we conclude in additional services is Malindo have rediscovered the concept of delivering free since they are unable to differentiate themselves purely on pricing and brand, making travel more comfortable through the use of seat reservation, food, frequent flyer program, in the hope that the customer will remember flying with the airline when booking the next ticket. The next one is anonymous revenue. One of the pillar of low cost been understanding that customer sales and ticket sales are two separate kettles of fish, that a route frequently only becomes profitable through add-on sales. Therefore, everyone is vying to come up with the most inventive ways to extract more money from their client. And then the third point, which is the last one for the challenges, is management of customer relation. So what we can conclude is The customer who price conscious are rarely brand loyal. However, client retention and customer relationship management suddenly assume more significance if pricing alone is no longer a differentiator. So next is the opportunities. We can conclude in the opportunities is 5 points, which is the first one is network strategy and design. Second one is fleet and capacity evaluation. Third one is rival response. Fourth is startup planning, and the fifth is network planning for established airlines. So for the first point, which is network strategy and design, it had an assessment of the advantage and disadvantage of the present network approach, finding extra possibilities and making changes suggestion, network fusion or collaboration that result. So for example, have an open door policy, which is it established the expectation anyone can inquire, express problem and offer suggestion at any time. It's because trust building for the business is a crucial component. So the second one is fleet and capacity evaluation. This is analysis of projected passenger volume over time in conjunction with the best aircraft size and frequency for existing and prospective future routes or market. For example, the management use forecasting both to enable short-term decisions such as whether to expect adverse weather conditions and how to respond, and to support longer-term decisions in respect of future patterns in demands for air travel. Next, the third one is the rival response. It is result modeling as a result of competitor activity and response. The likelihood and form of the competitive response after a competitive action has been conducted, and then is determined success. A move will be made in response to a competitor action is known as a competitive response. So we respond for the rival to make our company to get more profitable. So the fourth point is startup planning. Is establishing optimal practices for startup planning, route selection, network planning, schedule, and airline business planning. It is also include the revenue and cost forecast for in the network management. For example, this is for the passenger. The two possible route structure for an airline are fully connected or hub and spoke, where they choose one airport as its hub and fly only between the hub and the two remaining airports, serving two markets non-stop and one with connecting flight. So that's for the example. Then the last one for the opportunities is network planning for established airlines. So the network development and optimization, traffic and revenue, forecasting, competitor and market analysis, scenarios for profit optimized network, including hub strategies and assessment of alliance and cooperation, including special prorate agreement and road joint ventures. So for the example for this last point, passengers generally want to travel to and from specific point as efficiency and affordable as possible. Malindo Air will try to match their passenger demand by offering a schedule that is both operationally feasible and profitable. The management will forecast and measure the profitable specific route as well as the entire network. So that's all for me. I'm ZHARIF, and then thank you very much.